Genshin Impact is a mind-bogglingly popular open-world action game that took the world by storm when it launched in September 2020. Since then, the game has been played by over 85 million people and earned its creator, MiHoYo, nearly $4 billion in revenue. At first glance, I imagined Genshin Impact was just an anime-styled Breath of the Wild clone with gacha mechanics, but given the game's massive success, I decided to dig a little bit deeper and see what all the fuss was about. In this video, I'll be reviewing Genshin Impact from the perspective of a free-to-play player. This review will familiarize you with the core gameplay systems, leveling and progression, the dreaded gacha mechanics, and most importantly, answer the question, is Genshin Impact actually worth playing? So buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and let's dive into this review of Genshin Impact. What's up everyone? Big Dan here. I make videos about RPGs and action games, so if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to smash like and hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Genshin Impact's game world is one that I want to spend time in. It's a welcoming environment filled with bright, colorful landscapes, gorgeous vistas, and complemented with a relaxing soundtrack. I'm not typically into the cartoonish anime art style, but the aesthetics of this game are incredibly appealing. To borrow a phrase from Never Knows Best, whose long-form critique of Genshin Impact prompted me to play the game in the first place, the world of Genshin Impact is idyllic. From the moment I dropped into this world, I had a strong desire to explore every nook, uncover every secret, and of course, loot absolutely everything. And this is good because exploration and gathering are a core part of Genshin's gameplay loop. You increase your character's powers and adventure rank through collecting crafting materials, experience tomes, artifacts, and other useful items hidden throughout the game world. Genshin Impact also does an incredible job of providing you with that sense of spectacle through verticality and awe-inspiring landscapes. It kinda reminds me of Elden Ring in that regard. Climbing mountains in the game not only rewards you with any loot you may discover, but incredible views of scenic vistas as well. I remember scaling up to a floating mountain above the clouds and just pausing for a few moments to take in the breathtaking views. The climbing itself is engaging because of the stamina system, which forces the player to plan their routes carefully. Because if you run out of stamina, you just plummet to your death. Once you reach the top, don't worry about climbing down because you also have a wing glider, a la Breath of the Wild. After playing Horizon Forbidden West earlier this year, and Anthem more recently, my experience in Genshin Impact has further solidified my belief that all open-world games should offer some means of aerial traversal. It's just so goddamn fun. After a long day in the office, it's relaxing to come home, boot up Genshin Impact, and run around the map in search of loot, fun puzzles to complete, and beautiful sights to behold. But the world of Genshin Impact isn't all fun and games. There's also a fair amount of danger posed by monsters, mini-bosses, and roving gangs you'll encounter on the map, which is an excellent segue to talk about the combat in Genshin Impact. Okay, so this is a bit of a mixed bag for me. There are some parts of Genshin's combat that I really love, and other parts that feel incredibly tedious. So let's start with the positives. The core combat system is rock solid. You have a party of 4 characters, but only one of them can be on the field at a time. You can switch between any party member at basically any time, aside from extremely brief cooldowns or moments when your character is knocked down or stunned in some way. Most characters have a melee weapon, a bow, or a magical caster of some sort. But while the basic weaponry is certainly useful, combat is dominated by using elemental abilities and combos. The elements are wind, fire, ice, electricity, water, and geo. Each character only has one core elemental trait, so it's important to build a party with different but complementary elements. A good example is pairing ice and electrical attacks for a massive damage boost. I love this part of Genshin Impact's combat. It's incredibly satisfying to use these abilities and perform combos that deal a lot of damage. That being said, the combat in Genshin Impact starts to become incredibly tedious and grindy the more you play the game. There are a few major reasons for this. First off, there isn't a whole lot of enemy variety. If you thought Elden Ring's reskinned bosses were bad, wait until you play this game. There are only a small handful of enemy types: hilichurls, slimes, treasure hunters, and a handful of different mini-boss type enemies like ruin guards, the giant flowers, electric cubes, etc. The only thing that really changes is the type of elemental damage they deal. For example, you'll have the same basic archer, he's just shooting electric arrows instead of flaming ones. You'll be fighting the exact same types of enemies over and over and over and over and over again throughout Genshin Impact. And there is a lot of combat in this game. If you're exploring the open world, you'll be running into trash mobs constantly. Most of the quests and dungeons are extremely combat heavy as well. Another problem is that most of the enemies have way too much health, which makes each individual combat encounter more time consuming. So lack of enemy variety, plus enemies with too much health, plus lots of combat, equals Genshin Impact fatigue. I want to reiterate that the core combat system and abilities are really fun to use. I think if the developers made a few small adjustments to enemy health bars and introduced a little bit more variety to the enemy types, it would go a long way to making the combat more fun and engaging over a long playthrough. I do really like the boss fights in Genshin Impact, especially some of the more bombastic ones in the main story. But these encounters represent a tiny fraction of the combat in this game, so 5% of your battles will be unique and engaging, while the other 95% are repetitive. Overall, I still really like the combat in Genshin Impact, but the downsides cannot be ignored if you're playing this game for dozens or hundreds of hours. But for me, the most satisfying part of Genshin Impact is the sense of progression. You will always have some combination of short and long-term goals to work towards in the game, from leveling up your character, to reaching a new adventure rank, to upgrading your favorite weapon. Genshin Impact really nails the progression gameplay loop. So let's talk about these systems in depth, shall we? For starters, there are two primary leveling systems in Genshin: your character level and your adventure rank. As you complete missions and gather loot in the open world, you'll be awarded with experience tomes that you can use to level up your characters. I like this system because it gives you a lot more control over which characters you are leveling up. This is super helpful if you unlock a new character, because all characters start at level 1 regardless of when you get them in the story. So if you're currently fighting level 50 enemies, that shiny new character you just unlocked will be worthless until you level them up. In this case, you can use your current A team to gather experience books and focus on leveling up that new character until they are strong enough to bring into the fold. This is a great system. Leveling up is not an entirely linear process. There are level caps at various points, which require you to ascend your character before you can continue leveling. For example, when you hit level 40, you cannot level up further until you've ascended that character to the next rank. So character progression in Genshin looks a bit like this. You upgrade or ascend your character by using specific crafting materials. Gathering the resources to ascend your characters can be a bit of a grind because a lot of them are incredibly rare or can only be acquired through completing specific challenges. Thankfully, Genshin's UI shows you exactly where or how to acquire these items if you click on them in your upgrade menu. Weapon upgrades work basically the same way. You use enchantment ores and other weapons to level them up. Then you use specific upgrade materials to ascend them to a higher level. You can also refine your weapons by consuming an identical copy of the same weapon, which provides additional stat bonuses. It's worth taking some time periodically to farm for upgrade materials to make sure you're leveling up your characters and weapons consistently. This is extremely important to keep your team viable in combat. The other primary leveling system in Genshin is adventure rank. The main role this system plays is level gating story quests. You can increase your adventure rank by completing missions and open world activities. The fastest way to boost your adventure rank is by completing daily commission quests, which are a series of randomized repeatable quests that recycle every single day. If you complete all 4 daily commission quests, you'll be granted with bonus adventure rank experience as well. So if you want to level up fast, be sure to do your dailies. If you are only completing main story quests, you will not have enough adventure rank to progress straight through the main quest line. You must complete some form of side content to keep the story moving forward, just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So let's talk about questing and open world activities. The main quest line in Genshin Impact is fine. It's not the most exciting or engaging storyline I've ever seen, but it's interesting enough to keep me going. I primarily play Genshin for the gameplay and progression loop, not the story. I'm going to steer clear of story spoilers, but the main quest is fairly whimsical. I'm used to playing much darker fantasy and science fiction games, so by comparison, the narrative of Genshin seems like it was crafted to appeal to children. Most of the characters have a laissez-faire attitude about potentially world-shattering events. None of them seem too worried about anything at all. This is not to say that Genshin Impact doesn't have some adult themes or dip into darker content from time to time. But overall, Genshin Impact gives off a bit of a Saturday morning cartoon vibe to me. Barely anyone actually dies. Villains just escape at the end of boss fights or go quote-unquote unconscious, even though you just slashed them up with a giant sword or crushed them with rocks. The side quests are a mixed bag. There are some major character loyalty quests, which are really well written and interesting. My favorite is a tongue-in-cheek Batman reference about a rich businessman called the Dark Knight who moonlights as a crime-fighting do-gooder. Aside from loyalty quests you automatically acquire through the main story, there are also a series of story quests you unlock by completing daily commission quests. These story quests center on specific characters and have branching paths based on your dialogue choices. The game even shows you the branching paths, much like Detroit Become Human. You're encouraged to replay these and unlock all the various endings to get additional rewards. I like the story quests a lot so far, but there's many more I haven't done yet. Most of the other side quests like daily commissions and random world quests are pretty much all fetch and kill quests. Nothing super exciting. You'll mostly just complete these for the rewards and the adventure XP. Finally, there are the various dungeons and world bosses that you can tackle to gather upgrade materials and artifacts. These are an important part of farming in Genshin Impact. Almost all of this content involves going to a location and killing a bunch of enemies. It's repetitive, but you'll mostly do it for the rewards. Alright, it's finally time to talk about the gacha mechanics. Some characters and weapons are unlocked through the main story and side content, but the vast majority of them can only be unlocked through the wish system. It's basically a slot machine or dice roll. You leave the game world of Genshin Impact and walk into a casino to play a different kind of game. There are a variety of banners that you can wish on. A wish is basically one roll for a random character, weapon, or item. There is a standard banner and a few limited time banners that cycle out on a regular basis, usually a few weeks at a time. As you play the game, you will earn a currency called Primo Gems. These can be used to buy Fate in the store, which can then be spent on wishes. One roll is 160 Primo Gems. You can earn several thousand Primo Gems per month through free-to-play depending on how often you play and what content you complete, which is maybe 24 rolls per month as a free player. I'm not doing the math here. I'm sure someone will post the exact calculations in the comments section. So here's where Genshin makes the big bucks. You can also purchase packs of Genesis crystals in the store. These can be converted to Primo Gems, which you can then use to buy more gacha rolls. The whales of Genshin Impact are spending tens of thousands of dollars gambling for waifus. It's really mind-boggling to me. Most of what you roll for will be complete garbage. You'll occasionally unlock a 4-star weapon or character. Then you'll go and look up those characters on a Genshin Impact tier list and be like, oh, they're also garbage. The odds of pulling a 5-star character or weapon are extremely low, less than 1%. There is a pity system though, which guarantees you will receive a 5-star after 90 failed rolls. But what you receive is always random, so if you have your heart set on a particular character, well, then best of luck to you. Where things get tricky are the limited banners. If you want to get one of those limited time banner characters, it's very unlikely you'll be able to do so without spending real money, because you won't earn enough Prima Gems through free-to-play to reach the pity counter unless you save your Prima Gems for months in advance. According to this unofficial Genshin Impact wish counter, it will take an average of 137 days to save enough Prima Gems to roll a 5-star if you complete daily commissions every single day. You can get there significantly faster if you purchase the $5 Blessings of the Welkin Moon Battle Pass, which gives you a steady supply of additional Prima Gems and crystals. For this video, I decided to spend all of the Prima Gems I earned so far, which got me 35 rolls. I spent all of them on the standard banner because I wasn't particularly interested in any of the limited banner characters at this time. Unsurprisingly, I received no 5-star characters or items, but I did unlock 4 different 4-star characters and 2 4-star weapons. I'm gonna be honest, rolling for characters is kind of fun for me, but I don't spend any real money, and I don't sweat it if I don't get anything good. I know some people will probably be upset with me. Big Dan is defending gambling. If you're malding about this, feel free to scream into the void of the comments section. I promise I won't read it. I know the gacha system is going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people, and if you don't like it, then just don't play the game. It's that simple. I personally don't have any problem with it. Would I rather have the same game for $60 and unlock absolutely everything through gameplay? Yes. But the flip side is, I've bought a lot of games which I then disliked, whereas I haven't spent any money on Genshin Impact. I guess what I'm trying to say is that gambling is good. If you haven't got your 5-star waifu yet, then just keep pulling. It'll probably work out. You're due for a big win, aren't you?
Do not get it twisted. Do not gamble. Do not start. Gambling is entertainment and entertainment only. You won't break even. You won't win. You won't do any of that. Do you understand?
All right, I've rambled on long enough about Gacha. So, what was I saying? Oh right, is Genshin Impact worth it? Yes, it's a really fun game, and it's free to play. Yes, it has gacha mechanics for unlocking characters, but it doesn't shove it in your face, and you can enjoy all of the standard content in the game without unlocking these characters or weapons. I've had a blast playing Genshin Impact so far, and I plan to continue playing after I post this review. I still haven't finished most of the late game content or the latest expansion which released earlier this month, so maybe I'll do a follow-up review later this year once I've had a chance to finish absolutely everything. So there you have it. Genshin Impact is 100% worth playing. If you like this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more RPG videos and reviews. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.